most countries in the world, their workforce tends to be made up of a majority of that country's countrymen. So your private sector, your public sector, positions in government right next to warm seats in chairs in corporates will, like a good 95% of those people, even students in the universities, it will be made up of countrymen. It'll be that nation's citizens. And every so often you'll have the one rare exotic foreigner from among you amidst a team of project managers. Every so often in a university you are going to have, of course, exchange students, foreign students from other nations doing a degree in a different country. And in our government you might have ambassadors of other nations that work closely, liaise with our country, I guess, sitting around in our parliament. But for the grander majority, those who fill these seats in any given nation, if at all those nations are sober and self-preserving, they will be citizens. So therefore, while you are warm like a bubble bath after a most stormy day outside coming from a blizzard to tourists, foreigners, and so therefore they pump up our economy when they do come. When you do not cater to those people in your universities, the majority of the students in your universities, and put them as those warm bodies in chairs in corporate South Africa, when you sabotage their career growth, and when upon getting jobs in these corporates or wherever it is that they might find work, and you don't take care of them, and you also sabotage the living daylights out of them in those jobs, and when there is nothing but corruption going on in the public sector, filling up government chairs, your country will fall apart whether or not tourists think that it's a warm space. Everybody here is so fresh. It's the rainbow nation, so it's so diverse and everyone is kind. You will barely endure a racist incident in South Africa, except a lot of people say that you will barely endure any racism as a South African in South Africa because of the level of diversity. Foreigners coming from outside in, you have to talk to them first at the macro to learn that, oh, they're from Russia, oh, they're from China, oh, they're from Spain, oh, they're from Colombia. Because if they don't talk and say, I don't understand what you're saying, and speak to you in Spanish, you will think that they're South African, because there's no telling foreigners apart in this country the way that we're so diverse, other than from them talking. Other than them being like the guy from Mind Your Language, responding to you with por favor, you're not gonna know that they're from Spain. And because of that, we are flexing, looking like Danny Bravo on a pinnacled structure. You will never know. And that would have been a mantle, a flex for the country, if we did not go out of our way to harass a person insofar as when they respond to you, they don't say por favor, but they say, excuse me, how can I? Sorry, I didn't get you. I didn't catch that. What you say? I'm sorry, what's that? Ach no, askis. I mean, you'd only ever hear that in South Africa. Ach no, askis. And everybody just know what has been spoken over there. For as long as you don't hear ach no, askis, or brew, or bot, and so know that you're talking to a South African. Somebody calling a traffic light robot, or a petrol station garage, unless somebody talks like that. Unless somebody talks when they are filling up their gas at a garage, and then they say, can you please pour for me this much gasoline? I need to go to what in the world do Americans call? They call it a gas station, garage. Unless they talk like pretty much the way that they talk. Oh, I need to go to a gas station to go and get some gasoline. And they speak with their accent. You're not going to treat them, at least not indefinitely. Yes, you do walk in small talk. Chit-chatter out here at the macro while you're all queuing to pay for your groceries. But the moment you get too close to people, South Africans, the moment you are working with them, the moment they are your colleagues, and the moment they are your friends close, the moment they are essentially close for comfort in your space, and so therefore in a position to be friendly with you, that's when you start to, like grow fangs, like you some spawn on a planet that human beings have just landed on, and then found a baby over there that looks all innocuous until they try to touch it and it grows claws and kills them. You grow claws and you kill your countrymen, because upon talking to you and then them discovering that you are potentially a threat to anything they're trying to do, the moment you discover that, like I said, you grow claws as something that looked as innocuous as a baby at some point, and yet look at you be this a barbarian against your fellow countrymen. So I am convinced that this country is dastardly in its character, but I am not yet convinced that it cannot be reached for sense. Because who does not want their nation to thrive? You are defeatist. Who doesn't want their nation to? I am therefore going to try again for this dastardly beast of a character-flawed nation from volume 2.0, because maybe if one of your own citizens that you disenfranchised, South Africans, when she's only able to thrive and speak to you again, try on you again, defibrillate you again, administer medication on your dying body again, if at all she does this with success from another country, then it says that, listen, even for Jesus Christ to reach you and touch you and warm your hypothermic body, he has to send his child like a slingshot back to another country, and then from there press record and say, okay, South Africa, let's do this again, let's try again, let's revisit this discourse, this conversational departure again. Let's engage in it again. Let us talk again. Now that I have been swung like a slingshot or a cannon to another country, a cannonball to another country. Now that like a cannonball I have landed in a different territorial region. Are you still not going to listen to me? Are you gonna prove to me that as flawed in character as you are, you also are content in that disposition? Are you gonna tell me that you're content being that thing? In which case, then I tried. I guess I'm gonna have to look now from within this country at the people in this country. I guess I'm gonna have to try now with people whose language I don't speak, and so it's gonna take me a cool 4 years to finally become fluent in their language, and only then, maybe I can get to them. Maybe I can get to them, because for as long as I'm still out here needing somebody to translate what I'm saying, it's gonna be really hard. I'm only convicted, and I'm only able to really just kind of pierce through into people because, you know, I know the ebbs and the flows of their language, and I meander around their speech with ease because I'm one of them. So I'm able to basically use analogies and all different kinds of language, metaphors, to help people who come from my region understand perfectly what I'm trying to say. I am tabling an argument on behalf of a people that will potentially get reached by it because I am speaking their language. So if you're gonna make me go and learn Korean over 4 years just to do exactly what I tried to do for South Africa, for Korea, oh my goodness, like what in the world? What a sorry day that will be. What a sight for sore eyes South Africa as a concert you then on that day will be. They still love their sorcery. It didn't matter until I had to go and learn, coming from my dialect, being a native English speaker, and so therefore far more readily able to learn Spanish or French, far more readily able to study with better ease Spanish or French, maybe Italian or even German, and then go all the way like up there on the tier of one of the easiest languages to learn for somebody that comes from an English speaking background. And then I go and I fetch Japanese, whoa, or Chinese, Mandarin, or Korean. Everybody knows how rough it is for people who are native English speakers to learn those Asian languages if you don't come from those regions. But because English shares so many literary clusters with languages like German, languages like French, languages like Spanish, it's easier for us to learn those first. Portuguese, it's easier for us to learn those first. And then on the day when we are rubbing our hands together, trying to be geniuses, trying to be really worked out, on the day we are doing everything in our power to be Achilles linguistically, strong and nobody can bring me low. You're gonna have to shoot my heel to bring me low. Get boza linguistically. On the day that we try to become like the linguistic Hercules and then attempt Japanese or Korean for the sake of reaching, or Chinese, for the sake of reaching or Mandarin, for the sake of reaching the Chinese, the Korean, or the Japanese, respectively. You know that you have fallen hella apart as a country. If your own countrymen had to go and learn a rough language like Korean or Japanese just to do for them, because I mean, evidently they're in dire need of it, what it is that you try to do in your country, and so therefore proving, according to the Lord's amazing word, that a nation, I wanted to say a prophet, has no honor in his own hometown, which I also like to translate to, or to augment to, a disciple born and bred in a country has no honor in that country. Watch missionaries out here travel from their countries and spark a revival in a foreign land. How is that even okay? Because I mean, does charity not begin at home? I tried from within the borders of South Africa to reach my countrymen, and they try to rape me and marry me by force and put me in a polygamous affair and disregard my spiritual convictions. And we're now going to experiment from a different territory. So I'm not going to edit my captions, and the first time that I edit my captions, you will know that this year I'm not going to edit my captions because I have no incentive to do it. And on the day when my captions are edited, then you will know that I have succeeded to reach South Africa. Because I mean, unless I'm just interesting for days, I don't see how Koreans will tune into me like you know, like just standing before a fireplace as it crackles, warming their hands in front of my ministry. One, my English. Second, the fact that I speak it also very fast. So even if they're learning, I'm the worst person for them to learn English from, unless they slow down to 0.75 or 0.5 me speaking. So the language is the reason why Koreans largely are not going to listen to me, even though I'm recording from their country. And secondly, who I speak for, what I speak on my tongue, is not so much in as it regards affairs in Korea, or the state of the nation that is Korea, spiritual state of the nation that is Korea. I'm still speaking about the state of South Africa from another country. I mean, can a person care so much for a nation? I guess it's because my own family members are still here, and former friends, like these gnarly beasts that betrayed me, saboteurs, they're still here. So I mean, am I gonna just let go of all these funerals where you're all gonna be attending in the next coming years, of everybody just plunging into the flames of hell from my own country? Am I just gonna lay back, almost like I'm reclining in a chair, sipping a cocktail, content with all of your condemnation? I guess not. For as long as I am in the interim phase of studying another language, I will still be speaking to South Africa. But when I finally reach fluency in another language, and that's gonna take years, unless of course, you know, Holy Spirit be like, it's giving tongues, it's giving upper room, it's giving spirit, it's giving tongues of fire in the upper room. All of a sudden I'm out just speaking a language that is comprehended by the people on the ground. Unless the Lord gives me an upper room experience and gives me Korean tongues in a matter of moments, spiritual miracle, look at that go, boom. It's gonna take years for me to learn the language. And so therefore be eloquent enough, know their colloquials, their collocations well enough, know their colloquial language well enough, know their humor and what makes for a joke amidst them, how to flow in conversation with them, and actually be able to drop some pretty witty jokes, like, you know, dry humor, which I am full of. On the day when I know the language well enough for my humor and my dry at that humor to manifest it in Korean. On the day when I am as excellent at analogies, collocations, colloquialisms, and, like I said, dry humor, right next to metaphor, just the use of allegories. On the day when I'm so good at speaking Korean the way that I am speaking English, with the ability to be able to draw people in with a gift of oratory, because you have to be quite not have to be. I am an orator. I am well spoken. I have a way with words. I'm also verbose, I'm loquacious, I'm full of drilling, so I rehash points over and over again, however, using different verbiage. So it's hard for people not to get me, because I just repeat myself. I say one thing 4 times before I move on to the next thing, just using different language. I just did that now. You would have to maybe rewind perhaps a minute ago, and you will hear that I said the same thing 4 times, just with different languages. On the day, no, not languages, but with different sentences. On the day when I am able to speak Korean, like the way that I speak English, or Tswana, or Zulu. Listen, I just did it again. That's when you're done for, South Africa, because then I'm gonna focus on another country. That's when you're done for. On the day when I get that language down, the way that I got y'all down with our languages, you're done for. Listen, I just drilled again. I am a natural teacher, am I not? This is the perfect vocation for me, it appears. On the day when I succeed to speak Korean, because God has given me an upper room experience like tongues of fire, to be also lambasting them with their own collocations, their own colloquialisms, their own metaphors, and to be able to drop dry humor in the center of a most poignant sorrow, and so therefore lighten the load, lighten the mood, where otherwise people would be perpetually just angry, upset at what I'm saying. On the day when I can succeed to turn even the hardest of hearts towards my conversation because I'm jocose, I'm so funny. On the day when my sense of humor reaches Koreans, and even the hardest among them, to the cross, I'll just be giggling at my jokes. Aren't you doing that, South Africa? Do you not cackle like hens when I talk? And then after that, you regard me very bittersweetly, okay? You regard me very bittersweetly. You love me, but you don't. You feel as if though my religion is too much. If only I wasn't so religious, I would make for a really great comedian. You've got ideas as to who I ought rather be, as opposed to a servant of God, and that is only because I'm just so easy to love. And yet so hard. I am so easy to love, and yet I'm also so difficult to love. And so therefore you're having a rough time figuring out what in the world you want to do with me. On the day when I can succeed to get that out of Koreans, we'll see if at all. No, not if at all. The Bible is definitely true, but it'll just verify a sad truth. That a nation's disciple has no honor in that particular nation. So we're trying again, right? Volume 2.0. Look at us start a car again. Vroom. If this vehicle moves from Korea, congratulations, Africa, I reached you. But if you're still stubborn, cold as ice, with me talking to you still from another country, my darlings, that which is what I fear is true. First, the notion that you were dastardly will have been proven over the 12 years that you kept me in an ice cold refrigerator. But now I've also proven that it appears that this here faith that comes by hearing, and this here hearing that comes by the word of God, is altogether moot in South Africa, because you can't get to them. They're not a valley of dry bones. Even when I prophesied to it, it doesn't live, because they have not ears to hear, neither do have they eyes to see. It appears. Volume 2.0 Razamake. Yeah, so this, will be a video that I will post from another country, and that country, we're gonna talk, because God knows I love to do it. I did say I am loquacious. I've been disillusioned about it. For reasons I'm about to highlight, I need the bathroom again. Look at me go. I've been disillusioned about it because of information that I came to learn, and I wanted to let it go, the idea or the prospect of going there finally. But I figured that let me come here and talk first, and see what God does, and what I continue to see in dreams, what I continue to see in visions, and then run with faith, man, which is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, because I don't know what God is doing. I have no idea what God is doing. All I know is that he is a lamp to my feet, and he helps me take a step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. That's how God works with us. So if you try to understand the full picture, you will fall apart, you will be disillusioned, you will be discouraged. And I have been disillusioned and discouraged, and frankly that's the reason why I'm here talking. But it's also the reason why I am not yet done with my first assignment, or even it's the reason why I am not yet done with my first assignment, and it is also the reason why I am not 75% into my TEFL course but only 50. It significantly slowed down my studying, though I am still studying with the same fever. I'm still studying hard, but not as the quality is still there, but not the quantity is what I'm getting at. I'm not covering as much as I used to, just out of sheer excitement. Now I'm studying slothfully, as in slowly. There are two characteristics of a sloth. It looks really lazy, but it also is just crazy slow. I am now honing in on the character of a sloth that is slowness as opposed to slothfulness, as in laziness. I'm not lazy. I'm not indolent. I am slow in progressing with the course because of discouragement. And I figured that if I come here and I talk, the Spirit of God is going to speak to me, and He will then let me know what I need to say. And by the end of this conversation, I will have a well-rounded understanding as to what I need to do. So it's a two-way exchange, this, where it is that I am here to share what God is doing with you, but also with me. So I guess buckle your seatbelts, wear them, my darlings, that we might engage on this conversation, and hopefully everybody at the end of it will have an answer for some questions they might have, amidst the everybody of which is of course me. I am a little bit confused, so I look forward, God willing, and my prayer is that He is, why wouldn't He be, to editing my captions, because then that says that I either got to South Africans or Germans and Americans and the French and Colombians and Mexicans, and that's the only reason why my YouTube channel has any kind of traction. And maybe like 1% of Koreans, 0.7, 0.5, 0.2 Koreans, those that can understand me when I speak, and that are also right next to understanding me, keen on the things of God. Maybe I'll be editing my captions because I got to Ghanaians, but not you, South Africa. Only reason why my YouTube channel has any kind of traction at all is because the majority of the people who have subscribed to me are just like scattered on the globe across many countries, and that's why I now have 4,000 subscribers. But listen, a cool like 1 or 2% of all of my subscriber base comes from my country. When I was gunning for them, that's when I will start to basically smell the coffee and see, but South Africa, you will be given as much time as it takes for me to grow fluent in the country that I'm staying in, for me to focus my energies on that country. That's how much time you have. It could be years, 2, 3, or it could be months, because I'm literally in the upper room, and God has seen it fit that to basically so judge you as a country, South Africa, that He decided to give me tongues of fire and just super rapid super rapid aptitude and acquisition, therefore, of the language of the country that I'm in. It is possible. Because God knows that I've wasted a good 12 years on this country. So to wait 4 years to be a servant in another land, God might not wait those 4 years just for the sake of showing South Africa that once Karabo was in a different country, I gave you 8 months and you wouldn't bosh. So from the 8-month mark, her snail-paced growth with the language that she's now newly trying to acquire, I expedited it tenfold. And over the next 3 months, she became fluent. I gave you the snail-paced growth of Karabo's acquisition of a new language as an initial hand of an amnesty to you, and you still kicked her down the road like a can. And so this is the end for you when South Africa. It's over. Bye-bye. Do what you want to do in your crazy country. That is what it is. The other day, I saw this comment from some Africans that are relocating, being repatriated to their countries from South Africa because of the protests and the riots over here against them, to a point of violence, wreaking havoc, and even documented. From what I understood South Africa is so xenophobic that it's now harassing even documented aliens in the country. Documented, like as in they're legally here, but insofar as they have got a little bit of a Mozambican accent or a Nigerian accent, they don't care that you've got documents to be in the country legally. They're just kicking you out, to a point where they're nations leaders, are repatriating them to their country because they're not safe. Ghana has done that, Nigeria has done that, and I believe Kenya's busy doing it. That's the country right now. It's harassing even legal aliens. And I'm just like, listen, there is a gangrene spreading in this country. And one guy from Maputo was like, South Africa better not need Africa again. That was his YouTube channel. The name of his YouTube channel title was South Africa better not need Africa again. You know when you cut the hand that feeds you, or you know the saying in black culture that Dankia Mutumunso, thank you from a black person. Dankia Mutumunso is a South African Tswana, like colloquial term, or rather let's say it's native. Not so, I can't say that it is slang, but it's a metaphor. It's an idiom. It's more of an idiom. Listen, I'm doing a TEFL course, so I'm actually just roaming these terms around in my head. It's an idiom. Dankia Mutumunso is a South African idiom that stands for essentially the thanklessness. It's a sarcastic idiom to speak about the thanklessness of black people, that you do somebody a favor and then later on they come back to bite you, or they act in ways so as to disregard that you ever helped them before. Like, for instance, giving somebody shelter and place during a time of hardship, and then when that person is okay later on and you're out on a limb, I've endured that. I've endured Dankia Mutumunso before. When you're out on a limb, they then won't open their house for you when you have no one to stay and you're like, oh my goodness, you're basically saying, when I was out on a limb, I helped you in my house. Now that I'm out on a limb, you won't help me in yours. David laments about the same thing, that he fasted and prayed for the people who are now today at enmity with him. They've got a black man's thank you, right? I have endured. So there was a time back in the day when I had this friend that was registered with UNISA to study, and she didn't have money, not register, sorry, but she wanted to register with UNISA to study that year, and she didn't have money on hand at that particular moment in history, and she wanted to register for the year, and there was a deadline by which she had to register. And she asked me for several thousands, and I gave them to her with leisure. She promised to pay me the money back, and I even awarded her like a payment term, like as in you can pay me over 3 months, 2,000 rands each month. You don't have to pay it all in full. I said to her that you don't even have to pay it to me in one fell swoop. You can pay it to me in installments. Yeah. And she was blessed. I gave her the full monies. And then later on, there came a season in my life where I needed like 2,000 rands. It was even less than what I had asked her for. And of course, I was going to pay her back at the end of the month. And she passed me so much shade and gave me so much attitude. And she was also irritated with me over the phone when I asked her. And I was like, listen, just earlier this year, I parted ways with a cool 6,500 rands and told you can pay me back in installments. And then I come to you and I ask you for 2 grand. And you know that I'm going to pay you back because I'm always good for it. I'm just going through a rough patch right now. And you then give me Danki Yamotomunso. Well, that gentleman with the YouTube channel from Maputo. Where's Maputo? Is it Mozambique? The guy with the YouTube channel that was from Maputo essentially says South Africa, you've got you are thankless like a black person. We say that in our culture because we endure that at the hands of each other. So we say Danki Yamoto Omonso. And this guy's title of the video was South Africa better not need Africa again. And the moral of that particular video's story, I didn't watch it, but it was implied by the title, was that South Africans, Danki Yamoto Omonso, you have got a black person's thank you. Thankless disposition. This is not a racist term. It's not a racist phrase. It's just an idiom in our culture, in Tswana, to basically speak to what we as Tswana people have endured at the hands of fellow Tswana people. And so we call it Dankia Motomon. So it has nothing to do with racism. It's just the way that we speak. That's why on the day when I finally get Korean, the way that I get Tswana or Zulu, you're done for as a country, because then I'll be able to say things like Dankia Motomon, and people there get what I mean. Like, that's an idiom that only black people would understand, because if you said that to a white person, they might shrink back and be like, listen, I don't want to partake in this conversation lest I should be regarded as racist. But amidst black people, it's not regarded as racist. It's just one of our idioms. It's one of our terminologies. It's part of the language, and it's not understood as a derogatory term with racist nuances. It's just an idiom in our culture. Danki Amotomont. And this guy said in his video that South Africa, you better not need Africa again. And y'all will recall that in the days of apartheid, the black South Africa, largely black, but also colors and Indians, were often exiled in other African countries, and they were embraced as a result of the racist regime here in these streets. And the same South Africans now today, where African nationalists, people of other African nationalities, when they're going through hell on earth in their own countries and then they flee to South Africa, just as in the days of apartheid, they were exiled to other countries, and so they were essentially legal aliens in Maputo, legal aliens in Zimbabwe, legal aliens in whatever other parts of Africa they went. They were not undocumented. Other countries had compassion towards the oppressed under the apartheid regime in South Africa, and so they were able to live in other African countries as legal aliens, so much so that they were able to study there. We all know that people that came from exile in this country are doing so well today. Some of them are politicians. They became very successful in corporates. They became CEOs because they were able to study very good educations in other nations, in Zimbabwe, in Maputo, and you get my point, right? They studied, they were given refugee asylum, and as these asylum seekers were so cared for by the governments of those countries that they were able to study further and get law degrees, finance degrees, etc. Work experience such that by the time the apartheid regime ended and they came back home, they were skilled professionals that were also highly educated. So other countries helped them essentially bring back skills to the country, that country, that is South Africa, might now start to grow and heal from the wounds of apartheid. And then the same black people that were helped in the days of apartheid, the same South Africans that were educated in other countries and brought back skills that were usable by our country, are now also abusing. Listen, nobody likes illegal aliens. They're a nuisance. But South Africans are actively abusing at present even legal aliens, like documented foreigners. And even then, they're very picky, they're choosy. They would not do that to a Canadian or an American or an Australian. a French man, someone from the UK with that British accent. They don't do that to those guys. It's a Western bias. They would never do that to Western foreigners in the country that are black, but they do it to other Africans in our country, to a point where presidents of those countries, foreign ministers of those countries have arranged for flights to repatriate their citizens because South Africans are so violent. That is your country. It's falling apart. It's cracking. When I found out that you have done this even to legal aliens, I was like, okay, you are xenophobic. You are not merely anti false or illegal immigration. Everybody should hate illegal immigration because it is a cancer. It's like drug trafficking. It's like money laundering. It's destroying the nation's economy because the money is unaccounted for. But the money is in the country. However, it's illegal. And so it's destroying the country's economy. That's what illegal aliens are like. They're just illegal. And so therefore, while they might function as human capital, they're undocumented. So how in the world are we even going to account for you? You're not going to pay taxes if you're busy getting paid cash by your employer that's only paying you half what he would have paid a South African that would have had to register with SARS and so pay the tax man. So you are destructive on that day on our shores. You are destructive on that day on our shores. But if you're documented, you're going to pay our tax man and you're going to contribute to our numbers. You're going to be accounted on our books. You're going to be, what is the word that I'm looking for? You're going to be accounted for. You're going to be accounted for. Everybody's going to know what's going on with you and what is your general contribution to this ecosystem. So if South Africans can despise tax-paying legal aliens, and in particular the ones that are from Africa in this country, you've got idanki abantu abamnyama. You have got a thankless disposition, like in that idiom, because you've got amnesia. You forgot what you came from and what you were helped to do. Study, become a viable person. That's you got skills, and then you move back to your country and you were regarded for those skills of yours. Foreigners in this country that come here legally, you can't study in a South African university illegally. You can't. You understand? There are certain things that you can't do in this country illegally, and yet you're busy kicking out even students that are from Mozambique. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I agree with the guy from Maputo. I'm ashamed to be South African right now, that this is going on. I'm ashamed that they're throwing out babies with bathwaters and everything, just as they threw me out with all that bathwater. I'm ashamed. So Nani, I'm throwing you out like a baby with bathwater. If at all there are some among you that will be salvaged, we will see from a different country if it's possible to salvage you. But so far, all of y'all are like trash to me. Because look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing. Look what insane. So that guy's right. In Maputo, South Africa better not need Africa again. Because people are not going to forget what you did to them when they had your back at some point. People are not going to forget. And as a South African citizen, I don't stand with foreign immigrants. Not foreign immigrants, sorry, but illegal immigrants. But I do stand for afflicted illegally persons that did not have your trash coming, but who nonetheless got it. Because I'm like them. I'm like a person that was legally in the country doing a beautiful thing for the nation. And one day I was just kicked out like a soccer ball. And in my head, I'm South African. And yet look at an airplane be arranged for me to repatriate me somewhere else. Except I don't have another country that is mine where I am a citizen. And yet look at me being repatriated by heaven anyway. Look at me being patriated at all. Seeing as I can't call it a repatriation, because repatriation would be me coming back to South Africa, but I'm leaving. And I'm going to live as an expat in another country. Unprepared to come back until I have citizenship somewhere else. I am a South African citizen that is an alien in my own country. So what you're doing to illegal immigrants, not illegal, but immigrants, migrants, you're using it as an excuse, a cloak to veil exactly what it is that cost me my career all those years ago. The thing that cost me my career all those years ago. You're now making an excuse for doing it to migrants in the spirit of you're illegal and you're taking away our jobs. Except you did that to me, a born and bred South African. So born and bred am I in this country that I've never even left its borders. Look at that. I sound continental, don't I? I sound experienced with travel, but yeah, I've never been anywhere other than here. And most of the provinces of this country I haven't even been to. I've just been roaming around in JF. Like, I've been roaming around Gauteng all my life, and I've been to the Cape because who hasn't been there, Durban because who hasn't been there, and Limpopo and Mpumalanga. I haven't been anywhere else. So a person that hasn't even seen most of the provinces of the country. Well, have I seen them most? Okay, let's count because there's like 9, right? So there's Gauteng, Eastern and Western Cape. Okay, and then Limpopo. Before, yeah, I haven't been in the majority of provinces in this country. And Northwest, so 5. Okay, so I've been in the majority of them. I've been to Northwest. So someone that has not even set her foot in quite a large portion of this country. Like the other day, I was busy listening to something where they were speaking about the capital of some country, and I was like, do I even know what the capital of South Africa is? And I was ashamed of myself to ask that question, but in me, I said, oh, come on, I do know. Because I remember doing law back in the day, and sorry, Okay, that's gonna keep happening. I remember doing law, like blowing my nose. Apparently that's like really gross in South Korea, but listen, it's my ministry. I get to do what I want to do. And I knew that it was Pretoria. Back then they said only Pretoria. So I was like, but in my spirit I was like, why would Pretoria be the capital of South Africa? I just feel as though Johannesburg should be, because everybody in Johannesburg thinks they're the most important person in the country. Anyway, whatever. So I went and I googled it, and I found out that we've actually got 3 capitals in this country. Look at us go. And they all have to do with the 3 legs of government: the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. And the executive capital of South Africa is Pretoria, because that's where our president lives, and that's where the union buildings are at, where parliament is. And then the legislative capital of the country, I came to learn, is Bloemfontein. And I was like, I haven't even been there, and it feels like it's such a dry town. Like there's nothing going on. Why would they name that one of our capitals? Until I found out that that's where the Supreme Court of Appeal is, and that's why it's the not legislative but the judiciary capital. The judicial capital of the country is Bloemfontein, because that is where the highest court of the land is at. Well, one of the highest courts of the land, because the other one is in Johannesburg, which is the constitutional court, and they're both appellate courts on the same level, and you appeal matters at the highest court for constitutional issues at the constitutional court, but for others like crimes and whatnot, like criminal matters and other civil matters, etc., those go to what do you call this thing, to the Supreme Court. And apparently in order to get that done, you have to go all the way to Bloemfontein. I was like, I can't believe there's anything of any significance in this country in Bloemfontein. It just feels like such a forgettable place. I don't know. Everyone in Gauteng, KZN, and the Cape in this country think that nothing else matters in the land. So it was just very baffling for me that Bloemfontein was named as one of our capitals. Anyway, whatever. That was the judicial one, and then the legislative one was Cape Town. And what was the reason why Cape Town is our legislative capital? I have no idea. What's there? What government significant monument is there okay, there is a significant listen, I've got Wi-Fi in here. I don't even know why. I'm running around trying to not get that. I'm sorry, I really want to get this. What is the reason? Sorry. Okay. I found out that Cape Town is the legislative capital, Cape Town, because that's where the National Assembly is at, and it's the seat of Parliament, where the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces convene. So yeah, that was Cape Town. So I was like, oh, we've got 3 capitals. Look at that go. All right. And I was mildly impressed, except it's very tough to impress me in this country. Anyway, whatever. And I remember just thinking, herein lies this country with these 3 capitals. Yeah, herein lies this woman that hasn't even been to one of the capital cities of the country. Mara, the way that I'm so untraveled, the way that I've been restricted to just this general geographical location that I was born in, someone that has not even been there has to now leave the country in order to get to people that are the only ones she's ever seen all her life. Only once. And for me, it's like, okay, South Africa, yazini, bantu basemzansi. Okay, my lips are dry. I, for the life of me, have no idea what makes you think anything of what you're doing is going to work out. But I have quite a bit on my mind that I want to just get off my chest so I can find healing. I do. But one thing that is certain is that there is a cancer spreading in this country that I've been speaking about at length. I'm repeating myself, it's not like I'm saying anything new. And it appears in order for people not to drink the water that ultimately gives them cancer, because there are so many carcinogens in it, they gotta leave the location, the region that is letting people drink that for tap water. And so end up with cancer. It's in our water, and it cost me my career. And the same excuse, South Africa, that you are presently giving for why foreigners gotta get this stepping out of the country, you can't even use it on me, who is so localized in your country that I've only ever lived in it, and I haven't even been to all of it. A person that is that South African, that incarcerated by her own borders, has been kicked out of the country for the same reasons that you're now kicking out illegal immigrants. Not illegal, immigrants, some of whom are legal. So it just speaks volumes to what's actually going on with the immigration, migration, whatever crisis in the country. It goes a lot deeper. It grooves its paws in much deeper into the soil than what leaves than what meets the eye. There is more to this than meets the eye, and sorry, I'm choking. I'm gonna speak to that. So before I go and brush my teeth, after finishing my coffee. I mean, this is still a little bit of an intro, though. I don't think I'm going to speak. I won't speak for as long as I usually speak. It's not necessary. I'm just here to give myself healing, to get stuff off my chest, so that I can just start my assignment with leisure, with peace in my heart, because I've got a barrier to assignment commencement entry. I've got a barrier to starting my assignment, and that barrier is fear and anxiety, and I conquer it this way. So once it's out of the way with this work, I'll be able to do it. I've got caveats. I've mentioned that I'm wearing app makeup. I've mentioned that I don't edit my captions, but I can't wait for the day when I'm editing them, because it says that my ministry family took off in another country. And then there's also another caveat. I tend to put a scripture of the day here that's not going anywhere, and it's aligned to whatever I'm talking about, so gaze at it. I will not, however, carry on as I used to in my old ministry with all those stickers, with all that hectic excruciating editing. There's no need. I was just doing that to prove that I can work hard, but I don't need to do that anymore. So I'm just gonna collate these in a very simplistic fashion, maybe one little sticker here and there, and that's it. And you're only gonna see this video later, though I'm recording it on the 13th of June. I'm only gonna post it once I'm officially settled and working wherever it is that I'm working. So it could be 5 months, 4 months, it could be a year, but I'm going to collate this content and bank it in my hard drives on my computer, but I'm not going to be recording as much. And I don't think it's going to be a year. I really don't, because I'm going to be done with my TEFL certificate long before then. And the opportunity for me to work, God is mobilizing a machine to get me somewhere now. So it's probably going to be only maybe in 5 months, 6. But I'm just saying a year and definitely to leave leg room. It's gonna be the first time that you're gonna see this video, but I bet you that by the time you see this video, the issues that I speak about here will still be so relevant. They will still be so relevant, because my content, I've been watching my content in order to find something to heal my soul. But I realized that watching old stuff is not gonna do anything for me. And it's also very relevant still. It's like a video that I did a year ago. It's still so relevant today, because the issues are still quite prevalent today. So by the time that I share this work, it'll be months already that I've progressed, but it's going to be eerily relatable for the time. But I will be at peace, because I will be a woman that is no longer financially strangled. I will be a woman that is no longer financially strangled, and so no longer subjugated to the tyranny of monstrous men. But first we gotta get over the hurdle of where I'm going and why I have fear and anxiety. Enough for me to even do this video to reinforce what I think God is doing, because I have trust issues. Right now I've got faith issues, but we're gonna overcome those hurdles. We're gonna overcome them. Okay, we're going to overcome them. And by the time I'm done recording here, I'm gonna be feeling hopefully a lot better than I've been feeling the past 2 weeks. It's been hard. Okay, so let me go brush my teeth and then come here and basically just start to talk about this here illegal immigration problem in the country. I keep saying illegal immigration. Illegal immigration will always be a problem for any country. What I wanted to say was xenophobia. Let's just call it xenophobia, because we're not talking only here about illegal aliens in the country, but legal ones too are being abused. So let's just talk about xenophobia and how it is that it's not really xenophobia. I'm telling you now, it's not xenophobia, because if it was xenophobia, I wouldn't endure it. I belong to the country. I'm from here, so much so that I've never left. And yet the same thing that migrants, foreigners from Africa in particular, are enduring in this country, I'm enduring it. I'm enduring it. What is the problem? We're gonna talk about it. Let me go brush my teeth and all that jazz, and then start to talk. What's up? I'm back. What do you think of my afro? I got this from Temu, okay? It's a wig, of course. I've been buying wigs, and because today I'm feeling so trashy, and I'm just coming here once in whatever moon. I didn't wear jewelry, I didn't wear a hairpin, nothing. I just put on a wig just to cover my hair, and also because I just wanted to sport one of my wigs. And when it went on, I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And when I was in the bathroom mirror, I was like, oh my goodness, this afro is so great. But I just slapped it on coming here, and I didn't do many of the other elaborate things that I tend to do in my videos before recording, because this is kind of informal. I didn't even wear an outfit that makes any kind of sense. No jewelry today, well, except for that which is always on my ear, and no even jewelry in my afro. I tend to put like jewels in my hair. You will see that in the future, what I mean by that. For instance, usually I would have like a brooch, not a brooch, but a pin. I would usually put like something like that in my hair just to make it like stand out. Maybe I'll leave that one in. But today I just almost started recording because I was feeling so crappy that I just wore the wig and nothing else. But I mean, look at that. So cute, right? Maybe we'll just keep that. Yeah, we'll just keep it that way. I'm so happy with this. I'm so chuffed. It's a pity I didn't glamorize as much as I usually do, but I guess the situation calls for it. It's a moment of somberness right now that we're all engaged in. Anyway, whatever. Where was I? Look at America. Okay, let me not say look at America. Let me say, can we look at first world countries and what helped them become first world? Largely it was godliness, being good to countrymen. And in the Bible, the Lord says to the Hebrews, in the Old Testament that treat the foreigner from among you well. Treat the foreigner from among you well. And if you look at first world countries that thrived, even in ancient civilizations, it was always in ancient civilizations, it was always those civilizations that treated the foreigner well. And the moment they started to mistreat the foreigner, the moment they started to have no regard for the foreigner's religion, the moment they started to try to harass, force, coerce the foreigner, that country started to fall. But also another thing that made the country, that caused the nation to start falling, was also embracing the foreigner's faith. So two things grow a country and keep it strong: maintenance of national identity, but also love of aliens. So to love the alien is not to inherit their identity. Insofar as you can succeed to train the alien how to respect your country, but you treat them well, your country will become huge. It'll become first world, and it'll become incomparable to other nations around. But the moment you start to harass the foreigner, you unleash for yourselves hostilities on the part of those foreigners and those foreigners' people, and so you win enemies for your country. And secondly, you lose skills from foreigners. You lose respect from foreigners, and in yourself, you start to become unattractive as a prospect for tourism to the foreigner. When you are racist or xenophobic against the foreigner, your country loses tourism, and your country loses skilled labor from respectful foreigners. Your country loses Joseph. Your country, as Egypt, loses Joseph. But when you love a foreigner that respects your country, let's look at our brother Joseph. Joseph was a foreigner, of course, a Hebrew in Egypt. He was a slave, and in his slavery, he respected the country's laws. And then when he became the prime minister of Egypt, he embraced the name that Pharaoh gave him, Zaphenath-Paneah or whatever. He embraced that name. He married an Egyptian and wore the CI of Egypt. However, he was maintained in his national identity. He was maintained as a Hebrew. He was the lover of God. He was a Hebrew of Hebrews. He never let that go, but he also